М. Вот мы где закончили, я совсем забыла об этом. Что ж, выжигаем. Я обожаю, как они ходят. Давайте сделаем это еще раз. Блять, конечно, талия Кима — это преступление против скайримского народа. Можем поговорить на самом деле с кем угодно, а можем пойти по квестам. И нам нужно вернуться, чтобы вместе с Кимом посмотреть на этот. Сейчас проверю звук. Все работает? Отлично, отлично. Звук есть, все хорошо. Давайте просто поговорим.
Sure. You helped us out. I can repay the favor. What do you want to know? Andre, he's a cool guy. Doesn't really come off as one, but he is. To me, at least.
She rubs her sides, but not from cold. Her shoulders are relaxed. She must have taken a hit, or she's on an upswing.
He takes care of shit. Sorry. I mean, he's got a vision. For what life should be, you know? He tries to push things until everything falls into place. He's an organizer. Nothing. But then again, there's nothing to organise around here either. He really wants this church thing to work. Must have taken it as a sign when he found it abandoned like that. Said it was an augury. I don't know where he got that from. Andre's not super intelligent. I've never seen him so psyched about anything though. And he's often psyched. Looks sort of desperate, like it's his last chance or something. Or maybe he was just high. I mean, not that he does drugs, just high, you know?
Ну, я думаю, Ким бы с тобой не согласился.
Yes. Anyway. Yes. Who do you want to know about?
Я надеюсь, она все-таки старше 18, потому что, по-моему, Андре уже немножко дед.
He's a four-burger, I guess, like the rest of us. Okay, maybe not Egg, I don't know about him, but Noid and the rest are from Forberg, making the pilgrimage up north to visit the ELYSIUM. He's real hardcore about the lifestyle. It's just something poor Forberg kids do every spring. To pass the time, we walk the entire length of Boogie Street, up to Jamrock, or as much as possible. I don't know, man. Have you been down Boogie Street? It's a little bewildering.
Ой, я извиняюсь, разве я не представился агрессивным алкоголиком, который недавно упился в такие дрова, что я не помню, как называется одна из центральных улиц города.
Kind of. I'm gonna say yes. Okay. Then you should go and take a look, I guess. Boogie Street is cool. It's got a lot of immigrants and all kinds of different people.
Продолжай.
Yeah. I hope you do.
Нам в любом случае нужен на Буги-стрит, потому что там, походу, гейская тусовка.
What do you mean do? Like for a living? He's a carpenter, trained and all. He's very good, he just doesn't have the mindset to work like that, in a shop somewhere. He abides by the hardcore, sir. You would have to ask him yourself. Sir, I abide by the law.
A strange feeling. Every now and then, something feels off about the way she speaks. She doesn't change tone, but you feel as though there's more about her, and she lets on.
Who do you want to know about? What do you mean? Actually, we don't know where he's from, or who he is, really. One time we were out partying somewhere in backwater Forberg. Or maybe even Coal City. I can't remember. Maybe it was Coal City. Egg was yelling along to some jam someone was spinning, all night long. Just kept yelling until he didn't have a shred of voice left. When the sun came up over the mines. There were mines? Yeah, it was in Coal City. Egg came with us. He made this wheezing puppy dog sound all the way back. Couldn't even speak. It was definitely Coal City, because it took us 2 days to walk back to the fort. He just wheezed the whole way. We never really asked why he came with us, or who he was. I think his name is Jermaine. People are sweet.
You can see it must have been a great night. The memory causes her to go silent for a moment or two. You wish you'd been there.
Oh, that. He's the party boy. And Nordic music doesn't really do vocals in the traditional sense. Vocals are thought of as rock. That's to say they're a bit backward. No offence if you like rock music though. Rock music's cool by me.
С чего ты взял, что диско и рок несовместимы? Ты же слушал ОО, а они, по твоему собственному признанию, это диско-рок.
Yes, forever. Anyway, even if you don't have vocals, you still need someone to say something every now and then, right? To urge things on. That's where the party boy comes in. He basically just stands on the stage and dances and yells how awesome everything is. It's very catchy.
I understand. People are usually afraid to do things if others aren't already doing them. Dancing makes you dance, like sneezing makes you sneeze, or yawning makes you...
Да, Ким, это так и работает. Танцы ведь от любого человека заразительны, верно? Мне так нравится. Так много мы от него узнаем.
Anyway.
Да, да. Я почти уверен, что он в это время ловит просто взгляд Гарри.
Yes, I suppose we did. Tore it to pieces.
What do you want to know? Who do you want to know about? Ah, she's a bit odd, I have to say. Doesn't talk much. I'm not really sure how to vibe with her, you know? Seems like she's not in a very good mood most of the time. But earlier today she told me about Welkins, and she seemed oddly happy, like she had some idea with those little creatures. Some artistic idea. I didn't really listen, I was busy with my mic. Oh, the crab man. Still gives me the creeps the way he moves. But he doesn't actually come down that much, just climbs around the rafters. I just tried to stay away from the crab man, but he talks to Noid. They seem to have some thing going on. Beats me. Noid said they get along somehow. They're both crazy enough, I guess. Who knows? He doesn't really answer our questions, see? Not that it's easy to ask them. What are we supposed to do, yell up at the tower? Who do you want to know about? Me? Again? I'm a silver bird.
Hang on, that phrase. You're suddenly reminded of something.
It means I don't answer questions about myself. All right. There is. Thank you. Sure.
А у нас и нет ничего на скорость реакции, да? Только то, что ее отнимает.
Hard cop.
The silver bird has already flown away. I will catch.
Hard cop.
The silver bird has already flown away.
Ах ты ж. Ладно, еще один раз пробуем, как бы, и вот. Если что, в другой раз. Нихуя страшно.
Hard cop.
3, 2, 1.
O pasaro de agint. It flutters by your ear. It's what the Zemoyaki, the Gradian community in Revachol, call a person who never breaks under interrogation. It's an organized crime term.
Excuse me?
She's attempting to remain calm, but the phrase made her flinch.
What do you mean? Alright. My father was a Zemyaki. He died years ago. He was a bad man. Not a lot of good things to say about him and what he did. He bought the family a huge house, so we got to live, at least temporarily, in a giant castle in Jamrock. And then he died. You and I both, although I don't have to imagine. The competition came and took everything away. It was like in a war zone. So after his death, we had nothing left, and we were in danger. My mother had to change her name, mine too. We left it all behind. It was a stupid idea, and I'm still disappointed I came up with it.
Aren't there any local authorities who might look down on such activities?
I took that into account, of course. Coordinated the operation with the débardeurs, else they might get unhappy. Not in person, but I let them know. You can't do anything without the fat ones getting wind. It wasn't too difficult to convince them, really. It's a good thing you ended that mess, though. I felt I was turning Dadwise into a corrupt business person. Unpleasant.
Hear that? Set justice on its feet. Confront Everard. Come on, this is all fine. But you don't have anything on Everard now. That's not how these things work.
Я, пожалуй, доверюсь скорости реакции. Потому что мы реально... Мы не надавим на него. Типа...
Do. It's for the best.
You got us in, cop! I can't believe you got us in!
With wonder in his sharp eyes.
Between you and me, I don't know if you've noticed this about me. I'm a little suspicious of authority. But you really came through for the hardcore underground.
Yes, you really came through for the hardcore underground. How come?
The would-be leader is cutting some futuristic shapes on the floor, sweating profusely. A cell using her contact mic to listen to a tree underwater. The one with the large head is blasting the dance track on repeat, while the stained glass window behind him is rattling from the bass.
Okay.
В тебе тоже есть искра, Ким, и я это ценю. Ты как маленькое солнышко. Даже ты большое солнышко.
What he means is, you can't possibly have handed them this real estate for such a flimsy reason. Then again, whatever keeps your nose out of the bottle and on the job.
Ким мамочка. Ким просто маме.
It's a miracle of carpentry. Their bodies carved into total shapes. Now it can be something more. I don't say much anything as a carpenter anymore. They tried to make me into a reckoner and a leveller. Made me a bit manic, you know. I regret the time I dedicated to that profession and that worker collective. I say things more as a member of the hardcore side dance community these days. Why? You're a cop. I carry carpentry tools. That's right. The first settlers built it, plus 6 more like it, on the coast here. Was one of the first things they did. Must have been really scared of something, but I understand. Alone on an uninhabited archipelago, forced to face themselves and nature. Pre-industrial quantities of solitude. The sea, perhaps something more fundamental.
He means something paranatural. He must...
I would want to build a safe place for myself and my own as well. Maybe they were unable to face the nature of the world, perishing. A cop who's into building critique. Okay then, this is folk DeLoreanism, lawmongerer. It's a subset of early DeLorean architecture. Total. Everything between an ancient concrete cathedral and a glass cube is DeLoreanism. This is just an homespun version of it. Folksy stuff. Early mass production. They made thousands like this. Does that help you out? Like that woman there. Vertical, thin, white. A false image of grandeur. The source of the system is up there. You're at the bottom. They really dug that power vertical. Like to show off large and intricate structures. Arches, spires. Put you down with them. They were really into painting everything white too. Virginal shit, you know. Married shit. Virtue and tyranny. Right. Stands to reason it used to be white on the outside before the sea wind took all the paint off.
Year after year, flake after flake, whitewashed clean, then covered in green moss. Slowly peeled by the wind, your skin crawls from the sensation as you look around.
Dead bodies of perennial plants. Sigma functions have left this place. It's a good thing we came along. The spiritual collapse has been total. I saw some piglets suckling their dead mother. Have you heard this one, cop man? After a short while, they shuddered and went away. They had sensed that she could no longer see them and that she wasn't like them anymore. What they loved in their mother weren't her body, but whatever it was that made her body live. End of quote. This is an high-quality carcass. The power of anodic beats and hard bass is needed to reanimate it. A Sarai's man who lived a long time ago, an ancient hardcore brother. It never was. A 3,000-year-old regime of history, built by hundreds of generations of self-appointed intellectuals. It's false to the core. I only said unity. One word. Figures of authority always misquote you. Andre doesn't care about the Ecclesiastes. He just wants the operation to run smoothly. And egg is a demi-beast. You shouldn't listen to what people say, you should listen to what they are. Anodic dance music. Regular dance music wasn't hard enough. And yes, I do.
You know what this kind of stuff goes well with.
Only a little. All large human gatherings are narcotic. Ask any such undertaking in history, this included. Chemistry is true to its word.
There is a difference between narcotics and group elation. One kills you, the other does not.
The supercharged humanism that the innocentric system has been feeding us on giant city squares, that's not a drug. The sugar and wheat it feeds us is healthy.
Forget it. It will become an imbecilic discussion. You two continue. It's more hardcore that way.
I don't. Fuck are giving me the evil eye. I didn't know it was in here. We have to get rid of it. Dismantle it. Can't dance with a giant mass murderer looking at ya. Not a good look for the club.
Mellow, man, mellow. No one's a mass murderer. This is a house of love. Mass murder on the floor!
I like this question, Cop Man. She did not live the life of a human. She lived like someone who's playing a game. The life of an operator. That's not the life that humans live. She was adored. Humans aren't. I don't know about you, but they hate me. And they do not think I'm innocent or some shit like that. Yes. There is. She is a party repellent and must be taken down before we can begin partying in here.
No, that's not it. It's something more. Something closer to your skin.
Will do.
No, Noid. Stop twisting my melon, man. People are gonna love it. It'll be our thing. Plus it keeps the cold out.
What a strange choice of words. Caustic, overflowing with negativity. That can't be healthy. What's happening here? Why do you keep coming back to this window? But it isn't, and you shouldn't come back to this anymore. This should be the last time. Stop talking about that damn window, please.
Мы послушаем силу воли.
Hard to say, Cop Man. Signs in here are distinctly wild. Gonna take a while before everything's properly synced. I did get to talk to the Crabman though. Anyway, he's been giving me kind of a psychic rundown of this place. Dude's seen some crazy shit, but he's actually a lot like us. Talking to him, I realised that sobriety can be pretty hardcore too. I gotta respect it. The man picks up on stuff, and he knows a lot about the church. I got a lot to learn from him. Good thing you didn't squash him. The Crabman's been lurking here for a while. He's experienced things. Things that give off bad signs. As far as we can tell, the Ubies built this place about 320 years ago as a sarcophagus. Encasement, confinement, of something they were afraid of. Something new and unheard of on the Isla. I think that's what the Crabman is experiencing when he climbs around upstairs. Like, this is some old world shit the Ubies had heard about. I thought the best way to deal with it was to build a church surrounding it to contain it. I don't know. And it's not something they properly understood either. What it does. But it's what this Sona person is looking for. And trying to measure. It'll be fruitless though. She won't be able to measure it. People like that always want to measure everything. All those things they really can't.
The wood creaks as a gale blows by. Outside, dust particles fall through the darkness, settling down on the age-bleached floorboards. The structure does not feel particularly durable.
No, it's pretty fucking unsound if you ask me. They should have built a club for Nordic music around it instead. Nordic music will definitely contain whatever we're dealing with. And if it can't, well, seems to be the trend around here, doesn't it? You can't measure shit like this. It's not like substance. Like a concentric ring spreading out, the struggling villages. And that is what caused the communards to fail in defending the beachhead. Yeah, a lot of failure has gone down around here. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. It's not a thing we can answer, Copman. Maybe you can figure things out, Copman. I think we got on a good level here. The signs are syncing up well. Suspicious people are esoteric people. We don't go around spilling everything to Johnny Law. They don't call me Noid for nothing. It took us setting out for this whole enterprise to get our signs synced. It's short for paranoid. It'd be easier to list stuff I'm not suspicious of. I'm not suspicious of sound and colour. Mechanics and chemistry also have a trueness about them. Most anything else deceives. Wants to steal your life away.
This is a good, dangerous line of questioning. You should prod him on.
I don't have a top 10 list of things I'm most suspicious of, but if I had one, the left-right complex would be number 1. Number 2 would be their sole accomplishment, the pig-wheat paradigm. It's our only shit. We should make better use of not being animals or cereal grain ourselves. Correct.
He can't help but doubt your sincerity in this matter. There is no other way. You are a police officer.
Precisely. The status quo doesn't need to be loved. I prefer not to. Both ask the wrong questions. Any spark of light from either one is accidental. Their combined movement's only concern is producing enough pig and wheat for everyone. The end goal of humanity. The original mistake was assuming that words have more being than bodies. That's what led us astray. Far from our true lives, but we may yet find a way back.
Whatever this true life is, you feel it's the real centerpiece of this mythology.
Mental illness is a term the powers use to homogenise people. I think I don't reach mental illness. I am merely politically ill, a suspicious element.
His eyes flicker.
A life is true if it's free from fear, an internal division among oneself. In others, mankind has seeds of greatness in it. A germinal will come, a return to trueness. It will be hardcore. Beats and bright lights to shatter falsehoods. Nerve impulses for the collective body. We are very much alike in basic structure. An hard enough beat would awaken everyone to a truer calling. In unity.
Just like that. The speed freak is right in your face. His eyes burning. His comrades look on worriedly. The young man is dead serious about this.
Utmost dedication. Thoughts from the spinal cord. It's a potent superlative as well. Egghead usually has a better concept of the hardcore. He just really likes saying hardcore.
Hardcore!
Maybe you're being too specific about it. Try consulting with your spinal cord, like before, when you pulled those primal dance moves. I'm sure the world was glad to see him again after all that time. Many non-Occidental cultures share a beat at their art. Thus, they are closer to true hardcore life. There's just never been enough of them, and they had to rely on some extremely basic percussion. Oh yeah, sure thing.
Ёб твою мать.
They're hardcore. They're just clothes. Nah, it's just a vest of suspenders made to resemble a human ribcage. Plus some lady clothes to piss off the sex system. Now tell me about that hardcore necktie. It's fucking primal. It looks like you're trying to hang yourself with it. So large too. So many different patterns. It's crazy, man. I like it.
You suddenly realize the patience and respect this speed freak has shown you is partly because of your style. He's probably not like that with everyone.
Respect as a man!
Cleaning out the rooms. What if you didn't lose your memory? What if something in Martinez came and stored it all away, for you to slowly open one box at a time, so you can choose which parts to keep? Keep almost none of it. Only the flowers on the windowsill. Only the distant sound of a radio. Lose all the actors, the dark shadows. Leave only the still lifes, the blissful distant wash of waves. If everybody knew, you never did. She'll be coming soon. That is all.
Красиво. И у нас забиты все мысли. Это отлично. Больше навыков у нас нет. Нам очень нужна концептуализация. Очень.
A better deal! Yeah!
Yes? What about me?
Интересно, может, у нас с новыми навыками появятся какие-то новые куски в диалоге?
What? This? It's just seasonal clothing. Where is this going? Interesting. I think it's called the brain. Okay. And something happened in that brain? I do not have a thing with Revolutionary Air Brigades in particular. Okay, I wanted to become an aerostatic pilot. Then I turned 10 and realized we no longer have an air force. Absolutely nothing. Good. Good. Let's change.
Так, мне что нужно было сделать? Нахуй я сюда пришел? Вспомнил.
Hello, dear. It's good to see a familiar face. Thank you for doing that, dear. Morel still isn't feeling well. I convinced him to stay at Gary's to get some rest. I'm afraid the cold has really gotten to him. I'm sorry, dear. You've had to drudge through them so many times. Such is field work. A young person's game, as they say. Morel will eventually, or we'll talk Gary into going back out, perhaps.
The lieutenant stares at his shoe, caked in mud. He doesn't say anything.
No, you don't have to do that. Enough of this fool's errand. Morel will do it. Or Gary. You have work to do. I've wasted enough of everyone's time.
Be real. Gary is not going to help with this.
That really is too much, sweetie. Thank you for your dedication, but I can see you're coming down with a cough yourself.
Very strange. Why is she not letting you do this? It's like she's given up.
Different? How? I'm in doubt, sweetie. That's all. Everyone is now and then. It's a strange feeling. I haven't really told this to anyone, but you are a police officer.
And when a police officer asks, you must answer.
Do you ever wonder if some lovely story from your childhood is just that? A story? Or a dream?
Hunching her shoulders now. She seems even smaller than she is. Like a sad young girl.
Seeing the Insulindian phasmid was just a story I used to tell people. I didn't really think about whether it was real or not. Morel's so proud of it. He always tells everyone. No, sweetie. There's more to it than that. Morel was so eager to believe my story was evidence of the phasmid's existence. That I'm some queen of the cryptozoologists. That. And for years, his belief made me believe too.
That I am a queen? An extraordinary witness to grace.
But now, we're both getting old, and he's still working himself sick out in those reeds looking for it. But what if I was just wrong? I think I was.
The lieutenant opens his notebook, but doesn't write anything. An acorn is not the same as the tree. That requires time, diligence, and care. All qualities these two seem to share in abundance.
But it is. We've spent years searching for the phasmid, hunting it together. Without it, what are we? Just another pathetic old couple. If I hadn't led him down this path, he could have a steady job lecturing at a university. so of course it counts for something. But we've had our hard times too. I was a paraplegic before we met. He didn't know before I arrived, on our first date. If I weren't the queen of the cryptozoologists, if I didn't tell him that story...
She has to swallow to relax her throat. It's keeping her from talking.
Maybe. But then why do I not dare tell him? I've wasted enough of your time with this drama. I really must stop talking about it lest I start crying and waste more of your time. What you have to know is the Insulindian phasmid probably does not exist. Let us fools chase our ghosts. There are a million better things to do with your life. I'm not sure of anything. Sometimes I still see it, you know. The real memory. Not the memory of the memory, but it's so hard to tell the two apart.
Rising, unfolding from the reeds on a hot summer's day, like a benevolent god.
Either way, I should go. Poor Morel is running a fever, and I need to get him home to Jamrock before we overstay our welcome with Gary. Oh no, thank you, but I can get there on my own. This old thing is gas-powered. And then a taxi home. It's not so bad. You too, sweetie. Thank you for everything, truly. Even though it turned out to be a
dream. A fool's hope. Say her lips moving in silence. Like that, she drives off. The gas engine putters quietly as she gets to the doors, then pushes them open. Outside, the cold, coastal wind blows.
We should go too.
An old monument stands in the middle of the traffic. A silver plaque, not a good track record. As you look up, you know. An old monument stands. Something with someone shot him in the heart. The monument stands high up.
Hola, Wandering Man. How can I help you? Yeah, the janitor who gave me the key to his apartment said the guy's a bit of an asshole. Like I said before, I don't know much about this weasel, but the bossman said he's a real piece of work. Thanks for Los Ardis? They're an independent militant group. A bit too high-strung, but it comes with the responsibility. They're sort of like you. Preserve the rule of law and all that. Except it's Eberhard's law. But really, they're just like you.
Is he actually comparing you, an officer of the law, to some neighborhood vigilantes. The man whispers a jaunty tune. A coastal breeze ruffles his hair.
Looking for something? Oh, not much anymore. I'm here to pick up some cargo, but the dock workers are... The strike? Oh, they've been at it for a while. A month, 2 months maybe. But this here is just the last week or so. Apples? Yeah, apples? I take it you had other questions?
He's given you the runaround. Let's be honest, you were bested.
Мне не хватает риторики с ним попиздеть. А, у меня маленькая риторика, ну да.
You see several the packages are small, discreet, sloppily stacked, making them easier to take unnoticed. No need to worry about knocking over a display.
Он дает только стойкость. Ну, он прикольный.
A small cabinet on the wall is filled with various medicine bottles, nasal sprays, and blister packs. They all bear the Saint Baptiste Pharmaceutics logo.
Okay, here. I hope Saint Baptiste makes you feel better or something. Welcome to Frit. Feel free to look around or something. Everything is out on the shelves.
What's that magazine she's reading?
You mean this? This is Pop Stars. It's got, like, famous people in it. It's not for sale.
Looks like it also has something called Police de la Mode, featured on page 34. This speaks to you.
It's where they rate different outfits famous people wear. It's kind of funny. They're kind of mean. It's about who's the most stylish. Benita. She's a model. Usually it's a model. Or a singer-songwriter. Or a model.
We are not the fashion police.
Мне очень нравится, как
We're
мы
the
стоим
real
сейчас с
police.
Кимом.
I don't know. Frit? A 7 to 11 grocery store? I think they think that the extra T makes it funkier. It does. Okay. I'm not really supposed to be chatting to anyone, but...
Он нам особо ничего не скажет, так что...
I don't really know anything. I mean, I know it's there, but I haven't seen it, so... I don't know.
У него примерно все ответы такие.
No need to worry. It's just standard procedure for us to ask around. If you hear anything, let us know, okay?
Okay. Uh-huh.
Stuck in the rain in a traffic jam, man. What's on your mind? Stuck in the rain in a traffic jam, man. Stuck in the rain in a traffic jam, man.
No, just no. This guy has amazing willpower. Honestly, he's the only one of that intellectual bunch I trust.
Ну, в чем прикалывает,
Stuck in the
что
rain in a traffic jam, man.
у навыков
What's on your
еще и
mind?
какие-то внутренние отношения с друг другом есть.
Wait, there's something here, stored away in some dusty corner. It starts like,
Whoa. What else? Silent communion. That's good. Dang, that's some great shit. You came up with that yourself.
did you?
Right. But really, no bullshit. That's great stuff. I sort of want... No matter. Great verse is like that sometimes. Ephemeral. You might not look it. Seems you have some literary chops. Maybe there's hope for me yet. Just messing with you. It's cool. You're an okay guy. For a cop. They're more often into fists than rhymes, see? Let alone honesty in verse.
In a small office behind the old military hospital, hunched under the green glow of his desk light, Officer Hans Blau browses through a test print of his Futurist magazine. It's called The Futurist. The typeface on the header is too small. The lieutenant looks at you in silence, a curious look in his eyes, nodding slightly.
Тоже пишешь стихи, Ким. Я уверен.
Well, you've given me some hope, I guess.
You found some common ground with this man. Even impressed him. The next time you look in the mirror, though, remember those words. Why does art inspire you so much? Excellent question. Art is a diverse range of visual, literary, auditory, and performative creativity. It's an expression of imagination and technical skill. Additionally, it's history, criticism, and pure enjoyment. In short, art is the highest form of human communication, representation, narrative, emotion, and agency intertwined. Have you looked in the mirror lately? To be honest, you have the exact features of the modern artist, with that wild hair and those clothes. Perhaps you should try to write poetry someday, and critique architecture. Of course not. It's autism, box drawing, masturbation with a ruler and a sextant or whatever they use. You should demean and criticize the genteel institution of architecture while extolling the virtues of the pure arts.
Это потому, что твоя бывшая была архитекторкой, да, Гарри?
Only the most experimental kind. Such vigor. Already you express a sharp, descriptive mind, ready to slice through the empty and superficial in favor of the sublime and the beautiful. Do it. Become the art cop. Half art critic, half cop. Quit being so indecisive. What are you going for here? Some kind of indecisive and camp aesthetic now? Strike a bold shape here. Go art or go home. Exactly. It's not only your duty to only catch the criminals off the street. You must also apprehend criminals of the printing press and the gallery, the trite and derivative artists and writers of the world. Go ahead and provide savage criticisms, art cop. The world is yours to rip to pieces and reassemble.
У меня нет места под эти мысли. Не, можно, конечно, брать гомосексуальное подполье, просто потому что мы уже обо всем поговорили, и она не дает вообще ничего. Ну, нам в любом случае нужно для этого очко навыков. Чтобы убрать гомосексуальное подполье, нам нужно очко. Угу.
Officer, care to play a game with the lonely old man? Actually, never mind. Wouldn't be the same. The prick is gone. I can barely believe it, but he's really gone.
He is trying to retain his jolly facade, but the underlying sadness casts a deep shadow over his wrinkled face.
Hell, most likely. He was an absolute Kent. I repeat, an absolute Kent. Even his old army buddies didn't want him around. He was like an old viper. The only people who could stand to be around him were Jenny and me. She saw something in him when we were just kids and she never lost sight of it. And I thought if the most beautiful being in the world can love him, then there must be something worth holding on to. His hungry little heart finally gave out. The dock workers found him in the guard booth this morning. Wasn't even supposed to be working for another week, but he just had to prove how tough he is.
Wait, did he push himself to prove he can pull his weight and doesn't need handouts?
Yes, he was about to head home, cause when the dock workers found him, he was wearing civilian clothes and not the Kuketu uniform I saw him in all the time. Sometimes I thought he was wearing it just to piss me off. Now the joke's on him, cause he's gonna be buried without it.
That means the uniform could still be in the guard booth. Something to keep in mind if you really plan to give yourself to Revachol.
No, René was the most stubborn man in Revachol. Nothing you or I could say would ever push him to do anything. The man was completely immovable.
He has doubts, but right now, he just wants to move on and not think about it.
We've hated each other our entire lives. So much, in fact, that... Yes, I loved that angry prick. He didn't deserve it, but I did. You know what his last words to me were? In Guillaume's time, you'd have been shot without trial. That's what he said to me. He lived a cunt, and he died a cunt. Let's leave it at that. Let me see. This was 60 years ago. We all went to that parade. Young René looked so happy, and Jenny... I'm sorry, officer. I just... Thank you. Thank you for this little memorabilia. It really means the world to me.
That was nice. A small thing for us, but invaluable to him. He probably didn't even know René had the photo. Yes, we are both very sorry for your loss.
It is what it is. Part of life, really. But to know someone for 79 years, then one day they're just gone. I just don't know anymore. About anything, really. But you must need something. René wasn't really what you'd call a botanist, officer. And believe me, he didn't like Insulindian lilies. That's their old name, dating back to the time of kings and crests, and all that other stuff he loved so much. There were many reasons, but mostly it was the communals. They called them the belts of revolution. I guess in the end, the Insulindian lilies were just another piece of the old Insulinde. The royalists had to surrender to the Mazovian insurgents. It doesn't really matter anymore.
But you feel the dried flower in your hand somehow still does matter, although not to this sad old man.
Yes. What about René?
А, вот мы все спросили.
Yes.
It is what I just don't know anymore. Officer, I just can't do this right now. The Union, it just doesn't matter anymore. Oh, sorry.
Host Almighty. He's a total bummer now.
Я просто хотела узнать, что ли вы спросили. Ну, ёпта.
Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here.
Хотя разве чувство прекрасно? Ну, конечно, постоянно на КИМА-то смотреть. В принципе, шансы-то неплохие. Давайте просто дадим себе 3 попытки.
Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here. Why?
Why must we stop?
Типа нет и нет.
Just an ordinary wall. Not here. Why?
Why must we?
Just an ordinary wall. Nothing here. Why?
Why must we?
Может, да. Ладно, не нравится тебе.
The door is closed again. Nothing to do here anymore. You hear someone inside, walking from room to room. Whoever lives here must be back home.
Здесь ничего не поменялось. Мы с ней обо всем поговорили.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? By love, you did.
Fast, observantly, like an electronic printer. She is memorizing your badge number.
Pleased to meet you, Lieutenant W. Freighter Dubois. I am glad to see a man of high qualification. The situation is precarious. What can I help you with, Lieutenant Freighter? Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments that gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus. I am glad you see it that way. To repeal the act would mean repealing the coalition government, the one that leases you the right to police West Revachol.
You'd be shooting yourself in the foot, in other words.
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike. I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place. Now they won't even let me into the harbour.
There's a 2-meter-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates. Yes, Jean-Luc Measurehead. Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike?
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive. Mr. Clare told him to... how did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union.
Sounds like usual aggressive posturing.
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yeah, every worker, a member of the board.
Most of the workers probably don't know what that means.
Fortunately, they explained it. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about anything, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group. I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the boyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
This checks out. No, wait. The chief negotiator heard it from a man at the gates. Surely the Wild Pines Group has more effective channels of information. After all, 2,200 people are on strike. This is a big deal for them.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first. Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood.
If you were to prick it with something sharp, you could see it oozing out. A knife, maybe? No, a rapier.
He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar. Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues. The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organised labour at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, we are forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, Detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is... Of course, officer. I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work. Ever. And
This forewoman, her name?
sadly, the company records do not even give a name. She's just forewoman in private correspondence, Holly. I don't even know if it's a sir or given name, and I don't have access to the Union's files. Downright haunting, if you ask me. The Wild Pines suspected foul play, but what could they do? It was a Union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Of course. How else can I help? You have? And how did you like Mr. Clare?
Finally, time to choose sides.
Oh, come on now. He has his uses. How else would he have stayed in power all these years? Or wait, actually, corruption. That's how he's done it. Fantastic, Verm-like corruption, reaching into the bowels of the earth.
The position of my unusual colleague does not reflect official policy. I hope you understand. The RCM does not pick sides.
Of course. And I don't expect you to share anything he told you with me. I'm not a corrupt Verm myself. However, how could I stop you? Are we not human? Are we not curious to hear another person's take? It's only natural. We would only be gossiping.
Intellectually speaking, it would be quite interesting to hear what she has to say about these things. Tell her she'll like you for it.
Мы не будем рассказывать ей, что мы тоже коррупционная тварь.
Of course, Detective. Should something come up later down the road, don't be afraid to drop by for a chat. Until then, is there anything I can help you with? More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything. Glad to have been of assistance. The little that...
Мы сохранимся и попробуем дать какую-то концептуализацию.
What can I help? More lessons in basic
Зря мы, что ли,
reality?
ее качали.
My favorite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything.
Это полицейская волна, бросок, ёпта мать. Окей, окей. Тогда нужно...
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know.
Как сложно выходить из своих диалогов. Тогда... Опа. Я люблю, когда Ким стоит настолько близко.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? More lessons in basic reality?
6 kilometers southwest, in the Valley of Dogs, Junior Officer Chad Tilbrook takes aim at a rabid black dog licking its wounds in the grass. To his left, his partner, Emil Mullins, whispers, "You heard what happened to Tequila Sunset in Martinez?" Yes, he lost his mind, Tilbrook answers, fingers on the trigger. Don't worry, ML. He pulls it out slowly. Slowly now. He'll find it again. We always do.
You? You're an officer of the RCM. Preciso mundo. Nothing more nor less than the de facto law enforcement body of post-revolutionary Revachol, Detective.
Yes, we are the Revachol Citizens Militia.
Yes, that means not de jure. The RCM acts in what is poetically called the twilight of international law, both at the behest of the coalition government and to its chagrin. The RCM's responsibilities are defined by the Emergency, Wayfarer and Aliments Acts, 3 pieces of legislation keeping the city in a, let's be honest, laissez-faire stasis to the benefit of foreign capital.
All 3 are good to know when we are out policing.
There's nothing basic about your role, Detective. It's true that the RCM keeps everything the way our seemingly permanent provisional rulers like it. Yet, on the other hand, I know these people. I deal with them daily. Let me tell you, dear, they are not fans of you. The post-revolutionary decade was a disaster for the coalition government. Revachol in the 20s was hell, especially on the west side of the river. Gang warfare, a botched privatization scheme, a nuclear pile meltdown. They called it the international zone because no nation wanted to claim responsibility. The RCM restored peace where the coalition failed. A true blue citizens' initiative. They will never forgive you.
That's somewhat of an exaggeration. In reality, ours is a mutually beneficial arrangement. Revacholians get to keep the peace in Revachol, and the coalition doesn't have to worry about it. Anyway, sorry to intrude. Please continue.
Yes, Lieutenant. Permit me to conclude with this. Who you are, to me, is the police. The only legitimate law enforcement authority in Revachol. And if those authorities drink so hard they need help recalling the basic terms of reality, well, I'm here to help. Glad to have been of assistance, the little that I know.
Hello again, officers. Have you come to admire my mural?
I don't believe it. I've never known those boys to have manners.
The bemusement in her voice doesn't fully mask genuine tenderness.
There'll never be skulls, but their hearts are in the right place. Fat chance. But you can still do your part to revitalize the neighborhood.
She throws you a conspiratorial glance, then presses her finger to her lips and squints up at the sky, as though straining to hear something in the distance.
Have you noticed the quiet? Every so often, you might hear a gunshot pierce the air somewhere in Jamrock. But in Martinez, no gunshots, no sirens. The people are languishing in boredom and complacency. This place is a sepulchre. We'll paint it red. We bring the raucous, you bring the sirens.
What is it with these skulls and cooperation? They have to be the nicest violent street gang in Revachol West. Just an ordinary war.
Just dragged her away, huh? Stone cold. Didn't think you had it in you. Yeah, you ruthless son of a bitch. I certainly didn't have it in me. I always let the pretty ones go. I'm soft like that.
Да, ты мягонький. Мы знаем, что ты хлебушек на самом деле. И булка. Просто с корочкой.
Yeah, like when we let old Clancy's widow walk.
Два старика Кленси. Кленси, я не помню, кто это.
Oh, Denise, the diner girl. The milk rack on that one.
Can't say I wasn't sad to see her go. Our Clausia there. Her face when your friend walked her out. Goddamn.
А как же ты ее расстроил? Мне так нравится вот этот вариант. Просто 10 из 10. Это тоже. Я скажу про солнышко.
God damn you, son boy. I guess there's nothing to do about it now. I just hope she can game her way through the system and come out the other way. Don't think I forgot how I specifically let you know how I felt about her arrest either. Now, what do you want? Why? Sounds like you want to push this steaming pile of shit on anyone. And now you pick Ruby. Well, not on my watch you won't. Ruby's one of us. We're not gonna throw her under your moral intern steamroller. Fuck that shit.
And fuck you too, moral
Ruby is missing. If you hide from the police in a murder investigation, you become a suspect. You know how it works, guys.
That's nothing. That's just legalese. You don't even have a sound theory. I don't want to be rude, but we're trying to get some R&R here. Think you could fuck off now?
I think we'll keep sticking around, Titus. You'll be surprised at how quickly a theory presents itself if you keep looking.
A sudden flash of lightning in your neocortex. The hostel cafeteria is lit by its airy blaze. Floor plans, bullet trajectories, webs of human emotion, all channeled into a single thought.
Ну блин, на самом деле я не думаю, что это она, но у нас нет других вариантов. Типа, даже с учетом того, что я знаю, потому что я прошел игру, тем не менее.
Because she was here, all night, with us.
He's cobbling together shit so he can put her away. It's Cop 101.
She was here all night? 11:30 to 12:15? She was here during all that time?
Yeah, with us, drinking, near the stage there.
No. All right. She took a fucking leak, okay? For one moment. Maybe went out too. She has an operation to run from her lorry. We're not getting into what that operation is again, Cop.
That's probably for the best. Don't break your stride now.
And just 'cause she was gone for 5 minutes doesn't mean she magically got to the roof and shot him. I've been through this. It's not plausible.
He's been through it. That means he's suspected her too. All right, we're in. We got Ruby unaccounted for sometime during the window. This was crucial. Now let's place her on that roof. You got his attention. Now don't ruin it by making weird claims. Remember, you can still mess this up.
How? People say there was a pinball arcade here, sometime before the hostel. What was it called, Theo?
East Delta Pinball Arcade. Weird place. Went bankrupt.
Okay, but how'd you get up? There's no room for a staircase in this building. Or an elevator, for that matter.
The elevator is outside the building. It's an old dumbwaiter used for moving pinball machines up and down from the workshop. Thank you.
The lieutenant is glad he got the floor plan right there.
Ruby could have gone up, shot him, come down, all under 7 minutes.
That's quite the theory. We need to have a look at that secret passage, boys.
I'm on it, boss. Right when the law clears, me and Angus are going up there.
It's a dumbwaiter, not an industrial lift. How about I go instead of...
Just now. You got something else to back this route up? Or is that it? Right. What the fuck does that got to do with Ruby?
He makes a gruff gesture for you to continue.
Footprints. Recent.
He looks tough, but there is a nervous twitch in his dark green eye. This is all too close to home for him.
That close, huh? How fortunate. I'll take a thorough look at those prints myself before I believe that call. Good news is, I'm still listening. I don't like guessing, Cole. No.
It opens the steel door in the kitchen, the one that leads upstairs to the roof. This key was right here, with you, all the time.
Quit jumping to conclusions, Theo. You took that key. Did it look like it was recently put there?
No, the ribbon was old, faded. It had been there for 20 years at least.
Why? This doesn't make sense. It's damn interesting, but it doesn't fit well, and you know it.
It doesn't fit well, but it fits, and he knows it.
Firmly doesn't go well with could've. There's a route to the roof. Me and the boys need to check it out. That's what we've established. But a route does not put that bullet in his head. A gun does that, and Ruby doesn't carry one.
Phase 2, murder weapon. Get a gun in her hand. If not that, then at least a shadow of a doubt, in the shape of a gun.
Я на самом деле не знаю, что будет, если мы поведем это в сторону. Мне кажется, мы просто не уговорим его по поводу Руби. Если мы поведем в сторону вот эту вот. А других вариантов у нас особенно нет.
God damn. That's just about your favorite topic, isn't it? Every fucking 5 seconds.
You were warned not to bring it up. Your best shot here is to just back out of it. He's about to blow his fuse.
Okay, cop. She's got connections. I could see how she could have access to a gun. That still doesn't mean she did.
That's all you needed. Doubt.
All right, cop. Keep talking. I'll tell you when I've had enough.
Pete, we're not seriously considering it, are we? Ruby wouldn't do this. Why would she do something like this?
Phase 3. Motive. The last component. The big one. Get this and they'll give her to you. Remember, don't piss him off. That never works.
And I suppose you have a theory on that.
Think about it. Why go through all that effort? It was her idea, wasn't it? The hanging. You went along, but she suggested it.
She had, like, a fully formed plan and shit. Right when she came back downstairs.
Really, Shanks? Claudia wanted to talk to another girl, that's all. She was just the first one up there. I could have come up with that plan if I'd have been first.
Time for a logics demonstration. He scoffs.
Think. You kill him. Get up there. Shoot him. Get down.
The man is silent.
If she used us to cover her own shit up, well, that's a serious violation of the Hardy Code, boss.
Which is why she didn't. She would never do that. Why aren't more of you defending her? This is fucking stupid, Titus.
Glenn, I thought the same thing when she skipped town and left us in this shit.
Oh, so he didn't rule her out completely. And she skipped town. This is good.
Nah, man. That's just Ruby. She's got shit under control. That's her whole thing. That's why she's so good.
Plus, man, it's like female intuition, you know. Women talk to women. Which is, yeah, exactly. Why not, man?
Wishful thinking has no place in a police investigation. A more serious consideration that you wish to avoid is that she knew what happened because she did it.
Yeah, like what? The what now? A thing, you mean?
Yeah, but they're both girls.
Girls like girls too, Angus, sometimes. This is one of those times. She liked Glacier.
Yeah? No. Ruby's got more balls than a ball pit. You'd have to be an idiot not to... Guys, I'm not the only one who knew. Right?
Knew what? First he says she's murdered him. Now she's a too? It's a lie.
Come on, Glenn. She likes Monica's titties more than you do. Everyone knows which way the wind blows there.
Хотите прикол? Глену, в принципе, не нравятся сиськи Моники, ему нравятся сиськи нашего Титуса.
I did. I knew it. That's why she didn't fuck me at Fatty's birthday party.
She didn't fuck you, 'cause you're 40, and you still live with your mom, Dennis.
Ruby then threatened her and told her to end her relationship with the deceased.
This is some sordid shit. It's also the kind of garbage our Miss Aronier puts out to cover her own ass. Figures. But that Ruby is queer as cabaret, now that I start thinking about it. So there is some truth to it.
Не прибедняйся, Титус, тебе очень хорошая балерина.
And that's okay. Some are queerer than others. You can still be a hardy. But if you bring your own personal shit into our outfit...
And then, boss, use us to cover it up? I mean, that's just fucked up.
If it's true. But it's not, right?
Silence. He looks around the room. The old man in the corner nods. A very small nod. And a trickle of tobacco spit on his lip. This is the only option he cares for.
Yeah, I see it. There's one more thing I've been wondering about. Ever since you asked me where she is. Add it to your list of suspicions, if you want. I don't know where she went. She just got up and left. Got real scared, too. Wouldn't tell me where. However hard I asked. Wanna know why? She was afraid I would tell you. Maybe she was right. By now, I probably would.
She knew there's evidence on her, and she knew we'd find it. This is typical suspect behavior, why fleeing is always incriminatory.
Perhaps. Ask her if you find her. It won't be easy, though. She made sure of that. I told you. You. Yes, you. The cop with the sideburns and the disco clothes.
And a hole in his heart. That first.
Why not? You suck on that gun like someone tore you a brand new asshole.
Просто я скучал по рассасыванию пистолетов. Рядом со мной не было Кима.
Sure. Normal. You know, when I first saw you limping here, I thought she was paranoid or sniffing her own supply. But now I'm not so sure. She said you have a funny taste in clothes and that you won't stop until you have something on her. She said she's heard of you from Jamrock, that you're a human can opener, that you play suspects against each other, open them up like cans.
Fucking hell. Titus, did he just...
Open Angus up like a can? Yes, he did. Now, we can whine about it, whack him, or we can go on with our lives. I'm having a go on with our lives kind of day, Al. How about you?
It's not an actual question. Silence. He nods.
You are insistent.
Yeah, there was something else. She wouldn't tell me, though. I could see she wanted to. It was burning on her lips. This caught Titus. This caught heat. But she was too scared.
Scared? You should be too. A strange fear creeps over you, a metallic taste in your mouth. Change the subject. Everard's file on you seemed thin on info. She must know from somewhere else, from Jamrock, something more. Of course, I should have known. Concentrate on tracking down Ruby.
A little. On the coast.
Where have you looked for her?
More precisely, on the coast, past the waterlog. She's not here, so I'm thinking she's there.
Who's doing this looking? They're all here.
Lizzie needed some air. No one goes to tell Everard anything. He knows what he has to know. Fast.
It's called a radio, you believe. The gardener may have played you a game when she stormed out. She has her own plan.
Friday afternoon, when you first arrived, I got word the RCM was in town. Then she came in to see me. Told me she was leaving. That's when we had our little conversation. She's not far. We know that much. She didn't take her lorry, so she's on foot.
Good fucking luck, man. She knows this place like the back of her hand. You'll never find her.
Yeah, Al, and we won't either.
She's not really a hardy candidate anymore, is she?
She's not, Glenn. The what now? I have no idea. Boys?
She said she's building a pale emitter.
What?
We were talking about radio equipment. She said she's doing Ulan frequencies at a pale something. I don't know more.
This guy barely understands what he's talking about.
There you have it. Pale something.
It feels like you'll get to know soon enough.
Sure, there's some shithouses there. A cinderblock town. Fisherfolk there refuse to unionize. So, that's one place we haven't looked. I hear they have a shack where junkies sometimes crash. Time for you to step up.
We will start there. One more question. What does Ruby look like?
Boyish. Hair's red. Dyed. She looks like a Lowry man. It'll have to.
His grip is firm and reassuring, like holding a piece of unpolished granite. Not just granite, tightly packed RCM Sergeant material.
When are you gonna get it through your dumb head? I already am. I just wasn't sure you were.
And he still isn't. People aren't afraid of good cops in the way Ruby was afraid of you, he thinks, then turns back to his men.
Yes, what is it?
That's easy. Antennas are basically just tool things, right?
Не сохранил. А, у меня было
No,
это сохранение.
we could not. This shirt is made from wood. I'm not sure you understand how radios work.
А нет, я сохранился.
Yes, what is it? What? No, no one's suspicious around here.
She has not seen her, sire. It is true. Close your eyes. Unfold your mental map of Martinez. It's morning. You're standing on the plaza before the whirling in rags. The wind pushes a piece of tear across the cracked tiles. From the north comes the malicious laughter of two children. Your eye follows the tiles west. You see a bench and a few twisted, pitiful trees. Then, just water. From behind you, a low, spectral voice whispers, "Nay." Beyond the unkempt backyard rises a monstrous assemblage of concrete, plaster, and corrugated sheet metal. The voice again, more urgent now. "Nay." Just a moment. That voice isn't human, and it's not saying nay. It's saying nay. You turn around. The morning sun is blinding. You bring your hand to your brow, and a great shadow materializes before you. A towering beast, frozen in mid-air.
The dead king and his horse. It could work.
It may work, you think, but why do you feel like there may be a terrible cost?
We'll need an adequate power supply and a great quantity of cable. If we connect the cables to some of the stranded lorries, we could theoretically increase the antenna's wavelength exponentially.
Whatever ambivalence she had about your project before, she's now fully engaged in solving this technical puzzle.
Quiet. I'm doing maths. Yes, assuming we can find just a few pieces of equipment. It's completely ridiculous, but I believe we could transform the entire roundabout into one solid fractal antenna.
A note of awe in her voice. She's shocked and pleased by her own audacity.
Your sense of style isn't my concern. I'm only here to tell you what's feasible or not from a technical viewpoint. I have plenty of cables and amplifiers on hand. The power supply, I will secure on my own. All we require now is the radio transceiver itself. Of course you have. They aren't exactly rare.
And before you ask, no, you can't have the radio from Machinima.
Certainly, though it requires a fair amount of technical finesse to remove them. Frankly, it's not worth the bother. Just find a regular radio. That sounds like a perfectly adequate radio. In the meantime, I will gather the rest of the materials. We will meet back here when you have it.
imposing combination of a punch clock and a payphone is looking down at you from the wall. The machine swallows your coin and seems to be waiting for your next move.
Если мы
The
опять
already
позвоним
familiar
Доре,
cold touch of plastic welcomes you as you pick up the handset.
мы бросим трубку, потому что не при Киме нам так унижаться.
Your fingers run over the dial pad. 005. That's the dialing code for Revachol. 4952. And a moment of hesitation before entering the final numbers. 993. Calling. Calling. Still calling. Then,
Video Revachol, 24-hour video rental. We rent 8 and 10mm film for home use. This is Lemmy. How may I help you?
Видеопрокат. И что там много, Гарри?
the voice of a youngster on the other end sounds as enthusiastic as that of a man walking towards the gallows.
Video Revachol is a 24-hour video rental. We rent 8 and 10mm film for home use. This is Lemmy. No. Sir, I don't know. It's a video rental. Maybe you rent videos here. Maybe you call to extend your rental period? Do you need to extend your rental period? Let me fire up the machine. Dubois. Dubois. Here we are. You haven't rented anything in 5 years, but you still have a copy of Blue Ocean Hell from November '46. Whoa, not a fun film, that one. It's not an easy watch. After the death of his daughter and subsequent divorce, Ziemsk immigrant Egidius Wojcik tries to come to terms with the onset of dementia. No wonder no one's been missing it. Still, it would be great if you could return it to us. We're on the corner of Voyager and Main.
On the corner of Voyager and Main, a large neon sign hangs on the side of a building. Video Revachol, 24 hours. It's raining and there is almost no traffic on the street. A woman's footprints in the mud lead away from the front door. Tiny heels tiptoeing down the road. Beautiful steps, light-footed with a lifetime ahead of them. You look up and the air seems to grow darker. Suddenly you feel like you don't want to hear about video rentals anymore. You don't want to hear about any of it. It was all shit. It's over.
That's enough for you today. Let's conclude this call.
It.
Так.
A common office radio, like any of those found in countless waiting rooms, lounges, and other semi-public spaces all over the world.
There's usually a little switch somewhere. Ah yes, it's the one that says release.
The lock disengages with a nice click. You may now safely remove the transceiver unit. There's nothing obviously remarkable about it. It's about the size of a common pasta box with knobs of molded plastic. What else is there to say? If this transceiver were a person, it would be an accountant at a large logistics firm. Perfectly competent, but unexceptional.
I don't think the people who typically buy these machines are very concerned with questions of style.
The transceiver appears slightly hurt by your comment.
You've surprised me more than once during the course of our investigation, but I have to say it still seems like a remote scenario.
With its transceiver gone, the radio has ceased its persistent buzzing. It is as silent as a headstone.
What is it? Ah, very good. Let's see what you have. Not the most advanced model, but at least everything appears to be in order. Yes, this should serve our purposes.
No further comment necessary.
I believe that means we're ready to get started. I should warn you, once we begin setting up this antenna, we'll need to see the whole process through. There won't be any second chances, any do-overs. You understand? So if there's anything you'd like to get in order before we depart, I suggest you do it now. That's up to you. At a minimum, I would make sure you are physically and mentally prepared for an intense and difficult process. Once we begin, there can be no interruptions.
At the very least, you should make sure you're wearing a good pair of gloves.
Radio engineers typically carry overpriced solvent sprays to clean the antenna connections. But in a pinch, some common ammonia works just fine.
Psst. It's the alcohol in the ammonia that's doing the real work. Kinda like with you.
Finally, there's the question of stimulants. Some people prefer to keep legal amphetamines on hand to help with their work. I'm not one of them, but they do exist. It is possible that technical fields attract a certain kind of personality. I haven't given it much thought. Ah, yes. I wasn't sure what to do about that, but then I discovered an abandoned power source down by the edge of the bay.
It's obvious. She's referring to your half-sunken Caprice 40.
Oh, yes. I did notice that it was covered in police livery. Then you already know that the carriage itself is irreparable, but the rear-mounted engine seems to be in fine working order. My intention is to run a power cable from the engine up to the antenna. It won't last forever, but it should give us enough time to establish a connection with Coalition warship Archer. That's fine. Return to me when you're ready to go.
А что нам нужно совершить-то? А у нас нет типа спиртовой фигни, мы не можем купить аммиак. Лично я не видела открытый аммиак. Если не будет аммиака, возьмем любую другую бутылочку. Что у нас тут есть?
A small cabinet on the wall is filled with...
Yeah, there's like an ampule somewhere. Okay, don't, like, overdo it or something. Okay, don't, like, overdo it or something.
Не знаю, зачем я взял два, но... Почему он один? Что тебе понятно, Гарри?
Our tenant, the policeman. I hope the waves don't keep you up at night. What can I help you with? Nay, I haven't seen anyone lately.
Because she's blind, which you seem to have forgotten.
This is my little cinder block town. I know what goes on around here.
She's being evasive. She knows something.
There was a murder in Martinez. She might be a suspect. We would appreciate your help.
Would you now? I know how this world works, and it doesn't work when people tell on each other. Ah, I should have known. This is yet another union mess. I'm not afraid of them, you know.
Enough of this. She better start talking right now.
There's not much to tell. People come and go. Now, was there something else?
I see, ma'am. I hope you don't mind if we look around anyway.
You should look around your shack. Maybe she's rented it out to others too. As you look at the floorboards in this corner of the shack, it's clear one of them isn't quite level with the others. The edge of a floorboard next to it looks scratched. Hollow space underneath the floorboards is dark and damp. You can barely make out the mixture of sand and sawdust below. You stick your hand in and start combing through the sand. Dry, not like outside. Fine dust. And then something hard wrapped in paper. A small cylindrical object. You pull it out. A bullet. A 9mm bullet, to be exact. Fit for all muzzle loaders of that caliber. Like your own Villiers pistol, for example. The floorboard isn't interested. Maybe the washerwoman is. You have enough to confront her with. It's extra ammunition. She's locked and loaded, ready to fight some cops.
Our tenant, the policeman. I hope the waves don't keep you up at night. Damn that girl.
And without anger, a long and harsh life has taught her not to buckle under pressure.
But you didn't put it there, did you? She did.
Gone and hid things in there? She's usually a good tenant, and not a stupid one either. Yes, I let my room to that Ruby girl. As I've done before when she's been in trouble or just looking for solitude. I've made it clear, we welcome all kinds of people here. She came last Friday, left on Monday in a hurry. What has she gotten herself into, that girl?
That's for the police to find out. Right there. Please answer each question to the best of your ability. I'm sure we have a few.
Yes, early with the dogs, around 8 o'clock, I think.
She probably heard the Lieutenant's Kanema drive by, and it woke her up, just like it did you.
Yes. That is a downside of having a 130 kilowatt engine. It lets the bad guys know when you are coming.
I cleaned it, like I always do. No. She's good company. Knows how to talk to an old woman. At my age, you don't get a lot of quality conversation. So I really appreciate that about her.
This Ruby is an old lady whisperer. She knows how to work the village elder, unlike you.
Did she talk to you much during her last stay?
No, she was mostly silent this time, kept to herself. She tried not to let it show, but I could tell she hadn't come to fish. Usually she likes to cast a few lines, but this time she mostly stayed in her room.
She wanted to talk to her, as they usually do, but she was brooding.
How would I know? She's a gruff one, but not violent. She doesn't go around toting a gun. Nothing of the sort. Sure, she was no stranger to the bottle. She fit in that way. But I only knew her to have a beer on the beach while watching the sunset.
The sun sets for everyone.
She isn't what you call a drunk. Even offered me some from time to time. Said it was part of the communal life. But I never saw her lose control of herself, the way some people do. Not that I know of, though she was into nice music. She once showed me a few mixtape milieu she'd made. Although I guess she was pretty handy with the mechanical and technical stuff. Even fixed the heater in the shack. You should be thankful for that.
She may simply have kept the equipment elsewhere.
I don't know. Further up the coast, she tried to leave quietly, but the hinges on that door screeched like a cat in heat. Woke me up. I heard her rushing in those heavy boots, heading up north.
It's a peninsula. She might be trapped.
You'll never find her, you know. She knows the coast like the back of her hand. You only just arrived.
I wouldn't worry about that, man. We are persistent.
Are you sure you would rather stay here? Get a nice cozy fire going in the heater? Seems like a better idea to me.
The failed electric mural. You feel like you should go look at it again. Step closer this time.
One thing, officer. If you do find her, please go easy on her. She's a good girl. Whatever she's gotten herself mixed up in.
Я думаю, это можно считать завершением всех дел, потому что... Ну, то есть это вообще все дела. Прям все. А, ну кроме вот этого. Вот, я вспомнила, зачем нам нужно было. Нам нужно было подняться на второй этаж.
Two neon-lit shapes, a man and a woman having sex. A ray of backward motion explodes from his mouth.
From where, precisely? I see you have given this a lot of thought. Are those the locations you've singled out in addition to the roof? And what is the likelihood, in your opinion, that it came from a further distance? Okay, well, we should see if there is gunshot residue or sniper nests if we go down the coast. Rule these spots out one by one. It would be the diligent thing to do. Until then, personally, I'm going with the roof version. It fits the hidden path through the whirling. A simple hypothesis.
И почему я не могу это проверить? Это же вот это место считается. Я не знаю, почему не могу проверить пирс. Ну, как бы и хуй с ним. Или это другой пирс?
I'll just keep the corde leche in the channel, if that's okay. It's too shallow near the pier. Aye, ma'am. And it's a jetty, by the way. Of course. Jetty. I prefer a good jetty to a pier any day. Jetty. Hello, detectives. It's good to see you here. I only just arrived myself.
What brings you here, madame?
Nothing, really. I've had my eye on this jetty for weeks now, so I decided to investigate it personally. This cluster of buildings isn't on any of the official maps, as far as I can tell.
That. And she's also keeping an eye on you.
Spying has such a negative connotation. I did track your progress along the coast, however, and decided I would be better able to assist you from here. Then there's the matter of that little scamp in old lady clothes. She threatened to paint the corde leche red. Like blood, you see. Well, I like it the way it is. White.
What is this? Destruction of property? Hooliganism? Elder abuse?
It's just as well. Lillian and I are getting on much better. For one, she appreciates the concept of rent. How do I like it?
Water drips down eaves of Eternite. The jetty below her feet creaks to the tune. The smell of salt and dog shit in the background.
It's pornographically poor. The street has no name, all the men are dead or missing. And is that the carcass of a motor carriage over there?
Fortunately for you, madame, the RCM is on the scene.
All right. Politics time. Let's react. Real men, real politics, real thoughts in your head.
Oh, I'm not frightened, officer. I'd never...
Above you, there forms a quilt of altocumulus clouds, twisting into each other. The wind tugs and stretches them over the bay. Their cloud shadows slide over the ruins of Revachol West. Wherever they pass, the temperature drops slightly, but perceptibly.
Have I told you how they discovered this place? No, they're in Celindian, Isola. Well, your condition has left you no worse off than most of these people. The literacy rate is around 45% west of the river. 50 years of occupation have left these people in an oblivion of poverty. I knew you would sympathize. Most Revacholians will never know what this place means. Our home. This island of matter. Or why they were ferried over in the first place. Remind me to tell you one day. For now, how can I assist you in this new location?
Do we?
I hear you have singled out a suspect and are in pursuit. This is cause for cautious optimism. I would not want to delay you.
This story she will tell only before she leaves Martinez, at the very end of her stay.
Да нихуя она не расскажет, она уже съебется тогда.
Maybe there is something else I can assist you with, while you're hot in pursuit?
Ах ты, крыса яхтовая.
I see you haven't left our little Martinez yet. Still running around. Like some kind of cross-country law official. Aye. But don't let it grow too much. This is not the place to settle down. Now, what's on your mind, Officer Harry? Oh, that's good to know, I guess. Why is it in the sea? This calls for a funeral, if you ask me. Aye. Feels deserved, don't you think? Falling in the line of duty like that and all? Why odd? Our things are a part of our life world. They're made with our human sweat and they share human history. We should care about them as we care about humans. To some extent, at least.
Life world? Someone's been reading up on last century Gotvaldian philosophers. Play it cool now.
Oh yeah? You won't even be able to get it out of the water before early June. And where are you going to bury it? Who to invite? What music to play at the wake? Take it from someone who's been through a few funerals. It's easiest to just leave them there and let nature take care of it.
That's all we have time for right now anyway. Come back here in June and see how you feel about it then. It's not like it's going anywhere.
Понимаете, Ким просто уже подразумевает, что он вместе с Гарри в июле сюда вернется.
Yes, that is a pity. But for now, let's focus on the things we do get to do. Like the murder investigation, for example.
Oh? Who? Okay. When did this person stay here? Oh. I've been out on the sea for most of the past week. The weather's been good for fishing, so I usually start at 4 in the morning. Yes, that's the optimal time. Got to make the most of the calm. I've been sleeping like a corpse after. The sea really takes its toll. Now I'm just waiting for the wind to settle to get out there again. Sorry I couldn't help you out. Maybe I can help you find someone else. Really? Are you sure you're not also looking for Nadia Harnoncourt? Or Ignis Nielsen? Or the great lost city of Ace under the waves? A lot of stuff. Oh, there's plenty missing. But that's too much for even an eager terrier like you to handle. Although you seem very thorough. Tell me, instead, is there something else I can help you with?
Блин, такая классная мысль. И мы не можем ее никуда поместить. Да. Я вспомнил, что нам нужно. Я вспомнил, что нам нужно.
This is the night watchman's booth. The name on the door reads, René Arnaud. René left his uniform neatly folded on the table. Take it. It's just there. Who cares? It's not like anyone's gonna need it. Generally speaking, it would be dishonorable to take it. But then, it looks like a military uniform, and wearing that is very honorable. So, a conflict of honor. It's up to you.
I suppose René is not going to be needing it anymore. It's a bit too colorful for my taste, though. Fantastic. Try not to wear it with other similarly colorful clothes, okay?
такие штаны, мне именно так нравятся. Почему Ара? Это все, да? Только рубашка и мундир.
Wow, this jacket makes you feel strong, as if your blood is mixing with that of the venerable Philippian loyalists of old. Yes, let's hope
Нет, нет,
no
нет,
one
нет,
saw
нет,
you
нет,
wearing
я
that
не хочу ее
outrageously
выбрасывать.
fashioned jacket.
Блять, я выбросил куртку. Ну... Хуй с ней, главное, штаны остались. Штаны мне нравились гораздо больше. Я понял. Часть шмоток выбирает именно... Короче, политические предпочтения. Типа вот этих тоже error, и они похожи для этого, как его называют? Для капиталиста. Эти для Вот это штаны моралиста. Те, которые error, это, короче, квестовая одежда. Вот. Понятно. Наконец-то мы поняли вещи. Скорость реакции. Ну, звучит как план.
Yes, what is it? Very good? If you'll help me with some of this equipment then.
Back across the water lab. At least we are getting our exercise in today.
If you'll please carry that amplifier, officer, and if you'll take that spool of cable, we should be able to move it all in one trip.
Почему ковер? Фига ты эквилибристка.
And now if you'll just connect that here...
It's done. I believe we are ready.
We're ready to try at least. Please put on these headphones. There should be 2 extra sets. I've configured the channels so that only your microphone is set to broadcast, officer. We'll all be able to listen, but anyone we reach will only hear your voice. You will need to transmit your connection request while I attempt to locate the warship's public frequency. You will likely encounter some interference, but it's important to keep transmitting your request until you're acknowledged. Ready? Then it will be exactly like every other moment of every other day. I ask again, are you ready? Good. Beginning transmission.
A soft rustling between your ears, a winterscape with fast falling snow. Every light switch, every motor carriage, every doorbell, tea kettle, and radio in Martinez, all mingled with electrical interference caused by scattered thunderstorms over Ozone.
Officer, are you in order? We're waiting for you to start.
You're all alone out there, wandering a blasted heath, calling out to the night. But there is no reply, except for the buzzing of invisible machines. The lieutenant looks up at you with a nervous glance. Nervous for who, though, you cannot say.
Try again, officer.
Perhaps you're simply imagining it, but it seems as though you're learning to pull apart the fibers of this auditory felt. You focus on one strand in particular, one that sounds very nearly human.
Nein, Liebling, das lasse ich nicht zu. Wie kannst du unseren Jungen bloß auf einen dieser Dinger nach Bredefort schicken? Marianne, mir erzählt, dass Oscar nicht mehr lebt, seit er auf einem Luftschiff aus Graz zurückgekommen ist. Sie halten ihn die Psychologen für vollkommen normal. Aber sie hat das Gefühl, seit seiner Rückkehr mit einem Fremden zusammenzuleben.
You can't make out a word of this gibberish. The rustling of dry autumn leaves, waves breaking at a distance, 1,000 wings beating at once.
Liebling, bitte. Er ist unser einziges Kind. Er kann auch nächstes Jahr zur Akademie gehen.
It isn't gibberish, it's Valber. Now please keep trying. Again?
It's gone now.
A slight frisson at the point where your neck meets your spine. Something about the lieutenant's words directed at you, but not you.
I didn't say anything, Detective.
Someone has been maintaining it. The wiring has been repaired.
Так.
An uncomfortable silence falls over the connection.
It's been a long winter. Long and cold.
I promise you I didn't, even though it certainly sounds like me.
I can't say with certainty, but it sounds very much like anthroponetic crosstalk. It happens sometimes when sending transmissions across long stretches of pale.
Ah, yes, of course. That must be it.
Outwardly, they both exude calm, but there's something disturbing about this thought to both of them.
Natürlich halten ihn die Psychologen für vollkommen normal.
There won't be any later. This is our chance. Now please keep going.
But someone has been maintaining it. The wiring has been repaired. Dubois, please acknowledge. Liebling, bitte. Er ist unser einziges Kind. Where's she partner? Please identify.
The signals are getting increasingly mixed. Plucking Archer's signal from this will be like isolating a single strand from a tangle of hair.
It's not working. The crosstalk is simply too strong. I did not expect simply locating the signal to be so difficult. We must consider several variables. Local anthroponetic conditions, The sophistication of our transceiver, the quality of our connections, and the physics of our antenna itself. Our transceiver is perfectly capable, so there is no problem there. And we're also unlikely to change our local anthroponetic conditions. So, the next step is to thoroughly inspect our connections. You need to climb up there and look at them for yourself.
But you don't have the technical expertise.
Someone has been maintaining it.
Something about this setup seems dimly familiar, but you'll be damned if you know what you're supposed to do about it. Images of your body smashed against the pavement flood your mind. This is dangerous. Your gloves give you a solid grip on the metal bar. This feels pleasingly familiar. You don't exactly cut a lithesome figure, but after several moments of scrambling, you manage to hoist yourself atop the monument. That performance was frankly an embarrassment.
Нормально вышло, хули ты уёбываешься.
The connection itself is nothing more than a little braid of exposed wire wrapped about the hoof of the horse. A copper fetter it cannot slip. The whole monument is covered in a thin but durable layer of oil and grime. It's obvious no one has cleaned it in years. The programmer mentioned ammonia, but anything alcoholic should dissolve the oils, creating a cleaner and clearer connection. It takes a few moments, but the alcohol gradually begins to break down the oils surrounding the copper wiring.
Is this really the time, Detective?
It's all right, Lieutenant. He's simply cleaning the connections.
Once the oils have been dissolved, you wipe off the connections with your sleeve and reattach the cable.
It seems to have made some difference, but unfortunately not enough to alter the overall situation. Unser einziges Kind. Er kann auch nächstes Jahr zur Akademie gehen. Short of changing the shape of the antenna, I'm not sure what else we can do from here. And the lorries are all jammed together, so that's unlikely to happen. Ideally, narrow the receiving mode so that we can isolate the warship signal and eliminate the crosstalk. But if you don't know what you're doing, of course you could just make it worse. What do you mean? You adjust the antenna manually, with your hand. I'm afraid we're out of alternatives. You're just going to have to go for it.
She's right. The responsibility is yours, and yours alone. There's no turning back now.
Чего у меня такая низкая техника? Мне же это... Блять, я надел не те перчатки, я идиот.
You are face to face with Philip III. The Bronze King looks toward the west. Something about his features seems bizarrely distorted.
Ладно, мы пролистаем это потом. Мы переиграем.
Not intentionally. It's a matter of perspective. The king was never meant to be seen from such an angle as you've attained. His imperious gaze leads you naturally to his outstretched hand, which, for some reason, strikes you as sadly empty. You can't help but feel that saber you picked up might just give this older king a little more panache, and better reception. Come on, kings and sabers are so played out. Why not arm the good king's valiant steed instead? There seems to be just enough room between its teeth there. To your surprise, the saber slides snugly between the horse's bared teeth.
There is no way that is going to make any difference.
It's making a very slight difference. The signal is a bit clearer than it was.
This faithful steed cuts a dashing figure with the replica saber between its teeth. A clear sky, the kind of day where anything might happen. Across the river, you can see Coalition warship Archer tracing its gradual circuit above Revachol East. A few of the idle lorry drivers and strikebreakers gesture at you with their cigarettes, more out of curiosity than anything else. From the window of one of the adjacent apartment buildings, an older woman leans out, her heavy breasts sagging. She yells a single word you can't make out, and then shuts the window with a violent thunk.
У нас могло быть еще +2 к технике, это было бы хотя бы равные шансы. Ну, попробуем, а потом промотаем, если не получится. У нас было сохранение. Будет смешно, если Гарри наебнется с лошади. Ну или так.
You allow the broken hunk of metal to clatter to the ground. It wasn't clear to you it did anything anyway.
Nein, Liebling! What are you doing? The connection is even worse now. This is extremely unprofessional. But it is, because you broke it.
She's right. This was your responsibility.
Damn it. I'm going to push the power supply. I doubt it will last more than a few minutes, so you'd better make them count.
A maelstrom of sound, swirling and swirling around an invisible point. It's mounting. Mount.
Nicht mehr derselbe ist, seit auf einem Luftschiff aus Graz zurückgekommen ist.
Lieutenant Dubois, please respond.
It's too much. Your eardrums are throbbing, about to burst.
A long winter, long and cold.
And then, nothing.
Try it now.
This is Warship Archer. We are acknowledging and accepting you. Though we're still getting quite a bit of interference.
This is the best we can do. I suggest you get to your business quickly. I doubt I'll be able to maintain even this connection very long.
This is it. You're finally getting to speak with those who hold real power. There is so much you wish you could ask, but you probably only have time for 1 or 2 questions before the signal is lost.
Please be advised that you are speaking on a public frequency. What is your request? We can assure you, it is coming as soon as possible. Oh, most likely. Though, of course, it depends on the contingency. You must understand, the Moral Inter is responsible for ensuring the continuance and flourishing of mankind for the next 3,000 years. The Planning Division must account for a great many possible outcomes and chance events. Fortunately, we have contingency spreads to help guide our decision-making. Of course, there is no one spread that can reasonably account for all these possible events. But at least, we're able to prepare for the most likely eventualities. That's impossible to say. It may be that Revachol has a great role to play, or no role at all. That is the nature of contingency.
But didn't the Wild Pines representative say that Revachol would resolve history?
You must understand, when we speak of contingency spreads, we are talking about the most fantastically complex data visualization human beings are capable of producing, with thousands of events, from elections and wars to natural disaster or scientific miracles, and millions of possible outcomes. It may be the case that, under certain scenarios, Revachol is vitally important, as it was during the collision landings in 08. It may also be the case, in many other equally plausible scenarios, that Revachol is simply another once great city, like countless others throughout history.
Did she just admit that the coalition invading Revachol was one of those contingencies?
No, well, not quite. The Marlinter never intends to violate another nation's sovereignty. That would be a serious violation of international law. But one must consider that the world was in the midst of a global catastrophe brought on by an unstoppable pandemic. No amount of contingency planning could account for all of that. Almost certainly. Not many realize this, but the Marlinter is constantly reviewing and revising its contingency spreads in order to improve our own decision-making. For this reason, responsibility for developing contingency spreads is only assigned to highly trained analysts working with advanced radio computers and a steady supply of drones. Even though we are only a second signaler, we can tell you with great certainty that there is no contingency spread for you, Lieutenant Dubois. Simply that there is no such thing as an individual contingency spread. Please understand, we are not some totalitarian enterprise. We are committed to and bound by the highest values of individual freedom and opportunity. It is a work in progress, but it is also the best way that humanity has found thus far.
I'm not joking, officer. I'll only be able to hold the signal open for a few more moments. What you came here to ask it now.
Is everything alright? Acknowledged. To reach the committee, all you need to do is fill out the appropriate request form and submit it to the Liaison for Public Affairs. If the liaison accepts your request, you will be invited to address the committee at their next quarterly public hearing. We believe the next hearing is scheduled for July.
She's got to be jerking your chain, right? You can't wait that long. What part of need to reach the committee doesn't she?
We will hear your request, Lieutenant Dubois. Although we must inform you that the committee does not typically intervene in personal matters.
That's only because they haven't heard about your problems yet.
Это не так.
So, you're experiencing acute memory loss. We don't see how this is the committee's business.
Oh God, here we go.
We're afraid we don't understand at all. What does this something have to do with your lost memory? We are sorry to hear of your loss, but personal tragedy is quite beyond the purview of the committee of responsibility. Now, please excuse us while we update the receiving frequency. This connection will be cleared in 4, 3...
She can't treat you that way. Let her know what you really think of her. Quick, hang up on her first. And the line goes quiet. There, you really showed her. Showed her what, though? The lieutenant gives a long sigh as he removes his headphones. He looks up at you.
I think it's best for you to climb off the statue now, Detective. Your real work is done here.
The sun-warmed bronze tingles beneath your fingertips and between your thighs. Your legs have grown stiff. You've been up here quite a while. You look around. The strikebreakers are still shouting their slogans and waving their hand-painted signs. Beneath you, the lieutenant and the programmer have begun disconnecting a few cables. You could stay a while longer if you wanted. Out on the bay, a pair of dinghies bob and roll in the waves. The breeze drags the voices of the fishermen toward the plaza, faint and indecipherable. Further out, a few dirty icebergs drift to and fro. Further still, at the outer edge of your recognizance, the ancient ruins of the sea fort lay piled on the horizon.
Everything all right, Detective? Listen, I understand that you're disappointed that things did not turn out how you might have hoped. But you did accomplish your task. You reached the coalition. I must admit I didn't seriously think you could do it, but you've proved me wrong. Now come on. We still have a long day ahead of us.
Good. Now give me a hand with these amplifiers. Leave the cables. I don't feel like making 2 trips.
What's one more trip across the waterlock?
Well, this was an interesting collaboration. Really? I do not think we were all that successful. That maybe the RCM has a different definition of success. In any event, just leave that equipment here. I'll put it away later. If you'd like, you can take one of the extra headsets. I don't need so many spares. Now, you'll excuse me. I have to get back to my own work.
Погодите, погодите, где они? Боже. Да. Они очень тебе идут, Гарри. Просто посмотрите на него. Ну, мы вроде как все сделали. По крайней мере, на сегодня. Думаю, завтра мы сходим... И, возможно, даже завершим игру. Потому что нам осталось только найти Руби, поговорить с ней и провести трибунал. И сходить на остров. Это буквально 3 отдельных действия, но, возможно, будет хорошо. Все остальное мы сделали прям на отличненько. У нас прям все чистенько, кроме того, чтобы напиться. Теперь у нас есть крутые наушники. И еще больше поддержки от КИМА. Думаю, этого вполне достаточно.